coming here to your community to express their concerns about what's really going on in your community. And right now we're going to call up Reverend David Farrell, who's going to lead us in a word of prayer. And we're doing this independently of the Dallas Independent School District in the city of Dallas. You know, there's some concern about separation of church and state, so we're injecting this into prayer so we can get this meeting off on the right foot and make some real progress. So Reverend David Farrell, would you lead us in a word of prayer this time, sir?
Every head bowed, every eye closed. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together for a meeting of the minds. We ask now, Lord, that you allow our minds to be open so that we may have a sponge-like substance to absorb and realize that we've all got problems. But let this meeting this morning be fruitful. Don't let it fail, Lord. And if the devil is here, make him behave himself, because we need some answers. And we do realize that you are almighty. You control it all. This and many other blessings in your Son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
All right, we'd like to thank Reverend Farrell for that prayer, because we know and we believe that prayer changes things. We believe that. Right now, we're going to get ready to go ahead and get this town hall meeting underway. We know that there are various modes and means and feelings out there this morning. We want you to express yourself. Ultimately, we want you to think about what can we do as a community to come together to try to make some progress in our community. As a journalist, we have covered the community, we have covered crime, we have been concerned about the onslaught of drugs, the onslaught of guns in this community. We know that a lot of times the community themselves does not bring all these things in. But we have the authorities here this morning who can try to help you turn that situation around. But there's something that we can all do as we work together. Right now, we'd like to bring up the mayor of the city of Dallas, Dallas Mayor Steve Bartlett. Let's give the mayor a big hand. Let's give him a big hand.
Appreciate y'all being here this morning. I'm Steve Bartlett. I've been your mayor for about 2.5 years, and I want to tell you I appreciated that opportunity and do appreciate it. This has been the toughest job I've ever had in my life, but it's also been the most productive, because we've been able, with your help, to take a city and to start things moving in the right direction. Now, as you know, and one of the things we're going to talk about this morning is we may have some things going in the right direction, and indeed we do, on all sides of town, but we got a long ways to go. This meeting this morning is in part a chance to do a little reflection, to reflect on where we are now and where we're going and where we're going to be over the next couple of years. We've got an all-star cast of people lined up to visit a little bit. The format will be, and I think you've got some agendas when you're in front of you. The format is going to be that we're going to go through this format one at a time and actually have presentations by some of the individuals. We'll start off. I'm going to call on Levi Davis, Assistant City Manager, in a second for some brief welcomes. Then we're going to start with the Chief of Police, Ben Click, to ask and to answer two questions. What is the Dallas Police Department already doing, and what are we going to be doing in the area of reducing the number of victims of violent crime, with a particular focus on the southern sector, but really for the whole city. And then what can you do to protect yourselves and to work with us to try to improve conditions in the area of crime. We're then going to move over to economic development and jobs as a way of helping people support themselves and their families and get jobs and get good paying jobs and operate their businesses. For that, we'll have, again, a status report by Cheryl Peterman, the Acting Director of Economic Development, on where we are and where we're going. Where they're going to call on Greg Beasley, Ernest Walker, and Ken Green, who have asked for a few minutes to talk about a community perspective on economic development. And then we're going to turn it over to questions and answers. Now, you see that each of these segments are penciled in for 15 minutes. Let me revise that just a little bit. It's my goal to actually start the open microphones of questions and answers at 11 o'clock. We have two mics, one on either side. When we start that up, line up, if you just at that point, you can either ask a question, or make a brief statement, or say what's on your mind, or give a comment. What would really be helpful to us is if you give suggestions of other things that we ought to be doing, either a comment on what we're already doing that you think is working particularly well that we ought to do more of, or something that we're not doing that we ought to. I think that would be extremely helpful. This focus this morning is on a reduction of crime and an increase in jobs and economic development. But it's democracy is wonderful. If you've got a comment on any other subject, just go ahead and make your comment. We'll do that for 1 hour. We'll, depending on how many speakers we have, it'd be my goal to have one question for every time you're at the mic. So make one comment or one question, and then we'll take that and then go to the next one, and we'll be done by 12 o'clock, or after the thunder showers hit, whichever comes first outside. My thanks to DISD, to Lincoln, and to Napoleon Lewis to opening up the auditorium today. My thanks to KKDA that is taping this for rebroadcast. That will be and this will be rebroadcast both on KKDA and on KHVN. So in light of that, be sure to ask your questions and make your comments from the microphones so they can pick up the feed on the air. And again, because it's going to be broadcast, if you as succinct and direct as you can make your comments and questions, then that'll have the maximum impact on the air. This KKDA actually originally called the city, City Manager John Ware, and asked if we could do this, which we promptly agreed to. Over the course of the week, we've been involved KHVN through Robert Ashley, and the organization I mentioned earlier, the African American Coalition Task Force, Greg Beasley, Ernest Walker, and Ken Green, and then tried to involve each one of you. A couple of, way of introductions. I'm not going to try to introduce everybody, but you know the new commander of the Southeast Dallas Substation, Grant Tolliver, Chief Tolliver, and Chief Randy Hampton is also here. Cheryl Peterman and Levi Davis, Assistant City Manager. Barbara Mallory, Chair of the Youth Commission, is here. I'm going to call on her to say something right up front because she has a similar town meeting in Beckley Sainer that's going to start in a few minutes on the area of the Youth Commission on juvenile issues, where we're going to actually hear from young people, and then Chief Ben Click and the African American Coalition. So with that, let me start with Barbara Mallory out. We'll have other council members. This is a busy day with the president in town, with the Youth Commission town meeting, with the parade that's going to start at J.J. Rhodes at noon, and other things. There'll be council members who will be in and out during the course of the session. I'll call on them as they arrive. But with that, let me call on Barbara Mallory to say a few words.
Good morning. I think that this meeting is very beneficial to the whole community, to the city of Dallas as well, because we see crime affecting not just the southern sector, but as was indicated last week, the northern sector of the city. This is an exercise that I believe will bring together the city as a whole so that we can find out, and I think you will also find out based on the public hearings that we've had across the city on our youth initiatives, is that you have similar concerns. The city of Dallas is very committed. I as a representative of District 6, Barbara Mallory, I will speak on my behalf, and the council is working towards coming up with solutions, not just band-aids for the problems as it relates to our youth. We are having a teen public hearing that will start at 11 o'clock, so I will be leaving shortly to attend that meeting so that we can have a greater idea as to how we can solve some of the problems of our youth. We're also working very closely with the homeless. You have heard the issue and seen there has been a lot of media attention given lately as to what the city of Dallas will be doing with our homeless. I will assure you that I am working very closely with Betty Culbreath, with the county, and with our city staff to also ensure that there is a solution that people under the bridge can get help, people who need help, people who are drug addicted, people who are alcohol addicted, individuals who need job training and a place to go to sleep. They will be offered that alternative to integrate them back into society. I will emphasize, however, that those individuals who are not interested in getting help, that there will be no sympathy for them. And I want to say that up front, that we are interested in helping individuals who want to be helped with the homeless. The city of Dallas, the council, will be briefed. Levi Davis is working very closely with us as well to come up with a solution. We will be briefed, the council will be briefed on that on April the 6th but we are doing things on the city level, and we encourage you to continue to let us know what it is that we can do better, but not only that, to get your participation. We should not wait till a crisis happens that we all of a sudden want to do something. We should not also want to think that just because something happens in one part of the district that it will have an opportunity to make sure that we will not come with solutions. We will do that. We will, and I am a city official, and I can take however much time that I want to talk, and that is the reason that this week cannot come with solutions. The rudeness that I'm hearing on this panel is one of the reasons that we are unable to come with solutions. I'm an elected official, and if I want to stand up here and take 20 minutes to talk, then I will do that. But we do want you to take the opportunity to make sure that you participate overall. And just don't come up for when there's a problem. We encourage you to be a part of the process. And thank you very much for inviting us here today. And if you have time, the meeting with the youth will be held from 11 to 1. So if you leave this meeting, you are invited to come to the next meeting. Thank you.
Now, by way of background, as we start, a couple other introductions. I see Dwayne Caraway, who's on the park board, who just came in. Are there any other board and commission members here? The Judicial Nominating Committee, Robert Becker, thank you. Yes? Eva Minor, chair of the MLK board. My eyes are getting older. I don't quite qualify for the team commission yet, so I can't see that. CAC? Okay, I'm sorry. Senior Affairs Commission over here? Good. Anybody else? We'll have a sign-up sheet on the way out if anybody wants to volunteer to be on the board or commission. We're looking for some nominees. The city of Dallas in the last, by way of preliminary, and then I'm going to turn it over to Levi and then back to Robert to kick things off. What you're going to hear this morning in terms of a report card is a city in transition, and particularly a southern sector, South Dallas and the whole of the southern sector, in which the city of Dallas is determined to cause change. Conditions on the south side of the river have been not acceptable for a long time. You see all kinds of indications of that in terms of actual dollars and cents. 82% of all of the tax base is north of I-30. And what that means is in terms of economics and crime and livability, south of I-30 is simply not being and is still not in the right condition. What we've tried to do in the last 2.5 years is to cause change, is to cause that change in 3 areas and focus on 3 areas. We've achieved some success, but the conditions are so, in some cases, are so overwhelming, and we started from so far back that sometimes there's success, but it's hard to notice. The success and the focus has been in 3 principal areas. One is to reduce the numbers of crimes, particularly violent crimes, in the southern sector particularly. And you'll hear the chief describe how we are devoting specific, larger resources to the southern sector, and we've reduced crime by about 1/3. Now, we started with such a high level that it's almost imperceptible. Part of that then is community-based policing, which we've implemented in the southeast, and part of that is an emphasis which we're moving on with only limited success so far on alcohol-related abuses and the violation of alcohol laws. So number 1 is a reduction of crime and crime prevention. Number 2 is more jobs. And again, we've achieved some success there. 5 new banks in southeast Dallas in the last 2.5 years, and that's 5 more than we had altogether just 3 years ago. Some more mortgage money, bringing in commercial lending, tax abatement and other policies. We brought about 11 new employers who have relocated south of the river in the southern sector in the last 2 years. And third is neighborhood redevelopment. And we're just beginning on that. We've designated 5 areas to green line, the neighborhood renaissance zones, partnerships in partnership with the community, and we're beginning to put in some single-family mortgage money in considerable amounts, and had some success. And for the first time, beginning, I think it was about 4 weeks ago, we started construction of some new single-family homes in South Dallas. And the final analysis, that will be the measurement of success. With that, let me see if the Assistant City Manager has a preliminary comment or two, and then Robert will be back to you.
Good morning. Good morning. There we go. I'm Levi Davis, Assistant City Manager for the City of Dallas. And just like most of the people up here on the podium who are here from the City of Dallas, including the mayor, we work for you all. And I never forget that. Let me give you my phone number, 670-3390. My responsibilities at the City of Dallas is for the police department, the fire department, World Cup, the homeless issue, the courts, and liaison with the judges. If you need something, if I can help out, call somebody who works for you. If I'm not in, let me introduce you to a couple of people. Sergeant Johnson, would you stand? Right there. She's in my office also. And Pam Mickens, would you raise your hand? If you can't reach me, ask for Sergeant Johnson or Pam. And they'll be able to help out, or at least point you in the right direction. This morning's meeting is a town hall meeting. It's your meeting. If you have any questions when these individuals get up, when they sit down, we'll go through everybody, but if your questions afterwards, don't you dare hesitate. Raise your hand, and the mayor will recognize you. You come on up to the podium, up to the microphones, and get your message out or your question out. Don't leave here with unanswered questions. If you do, stop one of them in the hallway and get the answer. If you get home and think about it, then call them, they'll give you a number. But they all work for you, so they ought to be responsive to you. As the mayor pointed out, we'll be giving you today a status report on crime in this particular area. That's why the chief is here, and that's why the other officers are here. And also economic development in this area. In addition to the city staff giving you a report on crime in this area and economic development, we're going to also have one perspective of economic development from a very active group. You'll hear more about that group this morning also, who are pretty much the catalyst for this particular town hall meeting. And they'll speak to you about that also. They're on the program, as you can see. With that, I'll just sit down and let the MC take over, but if you have questions of me later, let me know. Thank you.
All right, well, I thank Mr. Levi Williams, Mrs. Levi Davis, rather, and of course, Dallas Mayor Steve Walden. Right now, we're going to move to the Police Chief Ben Click, and what he's going to talk about is what the police department is doing to fight crime in your community and what the community can do itself. Let's give the Police Chief in Dallas, Ben Click, a big hand. Let's bring him on.
Robert, thank you. I appreciate the invitation to be here this morning. I know a number of you in the audience because I've met you at other meetings, and I'm sure we're going to hopefully discuss some of the same things today that we've discussed in the other meetings. I wanted to take, I had not met members of the African American Coalition Task Force until this last week. And Greg and Ernest and Kevin came down, and we sat and talked, and I'm impressed. I think it's another one of those efforts. How do we bring the community together? I think many times through frustration and through many day-to-day kind of problems that we face, there's a tendency to take and either withdraw and not be involved in the discussion, or become somewhat divisive, become angry and be somewhat divisive. And I don't see that in these three gentlemen that are up here, and I'm very optimistic that they're going to contribute a lot, I think, in terms of what's going to happen. Not only just to South Dallas, Oak Cliff, but with the city of Dallas. And I think that's admirable. The mayor had introduced two gentlemen that were here, and there's a number of people that work in the Southeast and Southwest Field Operations Divisions, but I want to take and recognize them again because I'm going to call them. We have specific questions that relate to the Southwest Division or to the Southeast Division. That's Deputy Chief Randy Hampton, who's got the Southwest Division. Randy was just recently transferred there, and Deputy Chief Granver Tolliver, who has the Southeast Division, and Granver was just recently transferred to that division. These are our two largest field operations division, and basically cover roughly everything south of Interstate 30 in Dallas. I want to take it, I don't want to spend a lot of time just talking about statistics, but I do want to talk a little bit. I think that the department has made a valiant effort with a lot of accomplishment in South Dallas over the last few years. And folks, I can tell you, I've been here almost 9 months as the police chief, and it's an excellent police department. not a perfect police department. I don't think there is such a thing because we're made up of 3,600 people, but it's an excellent police department. And whatever it is that we can do in terms of our restructuring and the kinds of things that we can do to deliver better service to you, I think that comes about through discussion of your concerns and us being able to try to respond to those concerns. Just real briefly, as I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time because I think statistics tend to be a little bit boring, but I think just to use a few to give you some idea. Oh, sure. Excuse me just a minute.
We'll be joined during the course of the session in and out this morning with some people who had other commitments. But I do want to introduce to you somebody who is I'm extremely proud of. This particular day, this weekend, is a day in which he is busier than a one-armed paper hanger because he's instituting a massive and a much improved reorganization of Dallas City Hall that's going to bring a considerably higher level of services back to Dallas. But he did interrupt his schedule from that and has some other places to go, but I wanted to introduce him before he got away, and that is our great city manager, John Ware. John? John, thank you for joining us.
Mayor, thanks. I didn't see Mr. Ware come in. You know, I might just mention that the project that Mr. Ware and Mr. Davis and all of us and city staff are currently working on is how to take and restructure the city, and I know that isn't finalized and it's going to take some more work, but how we restructure the city to provide better service. Because since the day that Mr. Ware became city manager, his emphasis has been customer